Good morning. This is a scheduled meeting of the Griggs County Commission, April 8th, 2024. Would we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call. Ariel.
Here.
Tranby.
Here.
Zorn.
Here.
Edlund.
Here.
And Wakefield's present. Have a look at the agenda. Sam, anything to add to the agenda?
Nope, everything should be fine.
When able, we'll need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda by Edlund. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Second by Tranby. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda approved. On to the March 18th meeting minutes.
I'm making a motion to approve the minutes and dispense with the reading.
Motion by Edlund to approve the March 18th meeting minutes and dispense with the reading. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second
Second by Avriel. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. March 18th meeting minutes approved. Have a look at the bills. Sam, anything on the bills?
Nothing on the bills. The Bank of North Dakota, that's your lease payment, or the bond payment. So
Mhm.
that's that.
And that should probably be relabeled. It's no longer the Bank of North Dakota we're making the
Right.
payment to. We're
That-
making it to, it doesn't matter.
How much is left on that, John?
I think this is the 13th payment, so there was 20 payments total.
Oh, okay.
You know, we did decrease it a little bit.
That's right.
Not much, but a little bit. So I think they then spread that across the remaining payments. So I think it'll be the same payments right to the end,
Good.
I believe. Is how that'll work.
Yeah, oh, that sounds good. How you doing, Chris?
It's getting better every day. I make a motion to approve the invoices.
We have a motion to approve the invoices as presented by Edlund. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Tranby. Move on to a roll call vote. Aye in the positive, nay in the negative. Gabriel.
Aye.
Tranby.
Aye.
Zorn.
Aye.
Edlund.
Aye.
Wakefield votes aye. Bill's approved. Monthly office reports. We don't need to act on those. Have a look at them if you have any questions. Otherwise, we can move on. Any questions on the office reports?
As you do, John, I guess.
I looked at them and they are what they are. All right, City of Cooperstown policing contract. We have the mayor, sheriff, and the auditor here.
There might be a few more coming.
There might be a
but
few
I won't
more.
be here until quarter two.
Okay, we'll move on to something else. Put you guys on hold. Who's here for the Griggs County Fair Board?
Nobody yet.
Nobody yet.
No.
Wayne, you're always on time.
I'm here.
Yeah, all right.
Let's see, I think maybe Paul could talk some about that MOA, or what's that, the agreement, memorandum of agreement for the bridge, like a bridge replacement.
This
project.
is a replacement bridge?
Yep.
So I got a memo and a cover letter with North Dakota DOT and Federal Highway and the State Historic Preservation Office for the Decker Bridge. And since it's eligible for listing in historic or National Register as historic places, we have to document that it's historic. We had to advertise it for adoption, and there was no interest in it, in adopting the bridge. It's kind of too big to really move easily and use anywhere else. So the MOA between the state and everybody needs to be signed. And the only thing that they're really asking that needs to be done is a standalone site documentation report. And basically that's making a PDF report of the existing bridge and taking some photos of the historical significance of it. And getting that updated and added to the DOT's historic bridge website. So I guess I don't see any concerns with it. Then it's just one of the steps that has to happen before you can tear the bridge down. And then the other, and that actual work could happen as part of the construction engineering contract that will go out for selection in December when the project actually bids. So I guess you won't have any cost for that extra work. It would be through the state's contract.
Right. Yeah, there's no use having it done now. We don't even know if we're gonna build a bridge for sure. The funding isn't, we may as well have it tied in with the go-ahead with the bridge, correct?
I would think so.
Yeah.
That's where we.
I mean, there's not 100% that we're gonna have funding to build to do the bridge, correct?
Right, because it was supposed to be here in May, and they pushed it back to December now due to the prices that they've been seeing
Okay.
come through. So I guess I would recommend that the county approve the MOA with the state, Federal Highway, and DOT, just to keep the process moving.
Yep, so we're just approving the language in there. We're not approving moving ahead with the actual.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Need a motion on that?
Let me see.
This is a DocuSign form that did
Yeah,
come through,
well,
so,
Yeah, that would definitely.
So is that what I have here? No, this is,
No.
No.
It's in
Oh,
your
yeah, that
it's in your
that's
packet.
packet.
Page 18.
this was looking the same as not, same as.
Yeah, it looks the same. Page 18.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the agreement for the bridge replacement project in Griggs County. State Historical Society preservation pursuant. Sounds good.
Is it BRJ 0020013? That's the project number?
Mhm.
Okay. We have a motion by Edlin to approve the memorandum of agreement for the bridge replacement project in Griggs County, North Dakota, reference number BRJ 0020 parentheses 013. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Second by Tranby. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Memorandum ratified. Anything else, Wayne?
Got that
That's it?
email that I passed out,
Yep.
that's the Flexible Transportation Fund grant that we applied for,
Mm-hmm.
County Road 26 through Hannaford, and that was approved.
Okay.
Sweet.
So they'll be calling and me and talking about what's the next step that we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Okay.
nothing really to do with that, it was just information to let you know that I got that email on Friday evening.
So we got the grant that we needed for it, type of deal.
So when that project is done, then it'll be $105,000 from Highway 1 to the fertilizer plant. So,
Okay.
Anything more?
should be it, I think.
Done with Wayne.
I don't know about the city, Josh.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's fine. I'll talk to the mayor on that one, but, she'll be happy about this, especially with all the traffic that goes through there. Yeah, it is unreal the amount of traffic that is on that road, yeah. So, thank you.
Are you ready, Paul?
We're waiting for one more.
Yeah, Steve should be here just a couple minutes, he just has.
Got it.
should be here.
Well, it's a 5-minute or 3-minute break, then we're waiting for him. Nothing else we can really do there.
We could talk about the 2025 budget calendar if you want.
We can talk about it.
It's the last page in your packet,
Yeah.
and this is just showing you guys the times that the deadlines that I have laid out. Wondering if you guys wanted more time, less time, if you guys wanted me to move around some of those dates, or if that kind of worked for you guys last year. I kind of just molded it with what was last year, so if you guys feel that you need more time or whatever, just let me know and I can revise this, but
Looks good to me.
Just stick, but it's the same as last year, correct, for both?
yep. Yep, and I have it all ready to go out to the department heads and everything is balanced, so that's wonderful.
Okay.
Given that, do we have a motion to approve the 2024 budget calendar?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Tranby. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Avery. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Budget calendar in place. Sales ratio study. It looks like we have somebody that is willing to go ahead and complete that for us.
Yep, she put in a bid. On page 30, it's this Ashley she's the tax director in Botno County. She gave you guys her class verification. Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve her bid.
So we'll
Did she
have
have
to,
excuse me, was there a price that what price is she working on?
I don't see one.
Okay.
I sent out the ad saying 10,000.
Yeah. We need to have confirmation. We need to have something that
Being that.
what you're gonna do it
Yeah.
for, and we need to also make her aware that she acts for the commission, so any work produced comes to us and then we turn it in. But I don't think there's any problem reaching out to her and just get something in writing as far as what the cost is gonna be and what the timeline's gonna be, and we can tentatively approve that,
And then
that's
what
fine.
What actually she's gonna do. correct, and what-
But she's gonna
Yeah,
complete the whole, I would assume, well, we don't know, good
That's what I
point.
mean, that's my point. What
Yeah.
is she gonna do? I mean, what?
She would do what we have on,
What we-
okay.
yeah, the
on
sales ratio study.
what we put out for
But just
the,
to, basically, just basically have it in writing and everything else is basically.
Let's just have her make a proposal both
I'm a
in,
little disappointed because you received this email when? I wish we would have had this earlier so that we could have asked her for the pricing and such before the meeting, so we could have finalized it during the meeting.
we can't ask for anything until it's the decision of the commission itself. So decisions have to be as a
So-
group, not as an
We could
individual.
have asked what the price was. Well, 10,000 you said is what the contract stated.
That's what the
Yeah,
ad
okay.
stated.
The ads say 10,000.
So basically, should we say, for the, come back with more information, is that what we wanna do here? I mean,
We just need
Need some
to,
more stuff from her, correct?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
What
and that
stuff
should-
do we need from her?
Basically have her
Well-
say in writing the actual price
the timeline
and the
and the
timeline
scope of the work.
and the scope of
What
what
she
she needs to
needs.
do.
Yeah.
Isn't that what the ad said to do?
I don't know.
Well, yeah, but it'd be nice to make sure she's got it in writing as verification for it.
So what the letter that she got was, Griggs County is seeking an individual to complete the sales ratio study and the BX form for the calendar year 2023. The position would create and assist the county in submitting the documents and reports required by the North Dakota Tax Commissioner within the reporting timeline required. The compensation for the task would be 10,000 or the lowest offer as bid. Please inquire with the Griggs County Auditor's Office at, and then my contact information.
So pretty much she already knows what she's going to be doing because that's what that she's
Well,
replying to.
yeah, but we still don't have a number, cause like she said, or lowest number, so is she coming back with a lower number or what?
If you read her response, we need more than what she's responded. I would be interested in assisting the county complete their sales BX for 2023. That's it.
Are we gonna have a special meeting on this once we get the information so we can get this started and have it done by in a timely manner?
When
I'm
do-
going to suggest we do.
When do we meet again? 2 weeks?
2 weeks, but she would like to complete this at the earliest May 1st.
Let's get her timeline. Let's get the scope of the work, the price, and the timeline. We'll decide that after we get that information.
So Sam, when you receive that, will you send that out to everybody this
Mhm.
time?
Mhm.
You know what we're gonna send her, or what we're gonna ask for?
No.
Okay.
Scope
We-
of
we
the
need-
work or?
We need,
Firm price.
yeah, we need a price. Well, in the order that we're gonna do it, we'll need the scope of the work, the timeline, and a price.
Okay.
Maybe just email her now. Maybe she'll respond right away and can.
Mhm.
Primary election measures, excuse me.
So today is the deadline for any petitions and measures that you would like on the ballot for June. Just wondering if you guys had anything you would like to put on as a county measure.
No.
Jamie, do we have anything?
Not that I'm aware.
John, didn't you ask about last time about the senior raise levy from 2 to 4? You asked about that, remember last time?
We did, so
Yeah,
upon further review of that, it appears like back prior to '86, that the special levy was voted on,
okay,
the 2 mills.
okay.
So we still have the ability in the coming budget cycle to levy mills under the general fund.
So we raise up from 2 to 3 or 4.
No, the 2 mills stays. That's a
Stays,
special,
okay.
that's a special levy
Okay,
that was voted on by the people on a ballot measure.
Right.
Yeah.
But the senior center can actually come out of the general fund.
That's correct.
oh, okay.
And there, of course, if you read that, there's no levy limit on the senior center in the general fund because the general fund as a whole is covered by a levy limit. The same reason the auditors or the treasurers, and they don't have a levy limit on it. So we have the ability to use the general fund during the budget cycle to help support the senior citizens without any voter approval. The voter approval has always been given for the extra funding, the 2 mills.
So to get them more money, we would have to raise our budget on the general fund, is that what you're saying?
We're gonna create, during the budget cycle, we're gonna create a senior citizens
Okay.
additional budget item in the general fund.
Another line item for them.
No. So right now, the senior citizens, the 2 mills is in a special fund
Okay.
in Schedule C. We're gonna put this in Schedule B. It'll say senior citizens,
Okay.
yeah. So the 2 mills will be the primary, and the secondary form of funding will be the general levy budget. And of course, then if that doesn't get used, it doesn't stay in the senior citizens, it just rolls back into the general for the next year. So it's a way of having an insurance policy and covering costs that weren't anticipated, although we will anticipate them up front. If they don't materialize, we won't use it. So we couldn't find it where it was voted on, but when I went to the seniors, and then when the state got it, the reason the state's involved in all that is because it was voted on. That's why they've come in, and they do match, of the 2 mills, they do match 1 mill that comes back in the form of funding for the ride share, not the Meals on Wheels, but the ride share program. But nevertheless, their budget is about $40,000 short every year.
That was my next question.
That's it. And yeah, we'll have to address that come pretty quick here, probably before budget time. That can probably be addressed out of the COVID funding. And that fits the bill real easily there. So the ballot measure thing was nothing to be put on there. It had already been voted on, and that one had no expiration date. Most of those had a 5 or 10 or 15-year expiration date. We had to vote on them again, but not
that
the
one.
seniors one. No.
Okay.
So that's that. Now? No. Aye. City of Cooperstown policing contract. So this was started last year prior to budget, and it never got around to getting together and working something out. The way I understand it, the city is looking for policing services for the, of course, for the ordinances that fall outside the state of North Dakota and the federal. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. This can be done according to the state's attorney. When you actually think about it a little bit, it gets a little thorny, because how do you determine use? How do you determine price? How do you determine liability is the big thing. The cost of it is the one that I think is a little bit hard to determine. Not what your cost is, but what the overall cost is, and how do we separate it? So how do we not have the county paying for extra law enforcement in Cooperstown? And how do we divide? We don't have a half an officer or 3/4 of an officer, or we're not a temp agency. So how does that all work out? So I think the easiest way to start is with last year's budget. We had 3 officers for last year's budget. So I think the total budget for last year divided by 3, that gives you the cost of an officer. Would that be reasonable?
Yeah.
That's all that's included in that budget is the
Yep.
expense of the.
Everything. So the whole expense of running the department is $297,000, I believe,
Okay.
and that encompassed 3 officers. So that's vehicles, that's uniforms.
Right, so it's more
per-
than officers.
Yeah, so $100,000 an officer, or what
Well, not necessarily,
No.
because the office and all that tied to that is the cost of an officer.
Mhm.
that's what I mean.
Yeah, you're right. So you're saying $300,000, 3 officers, $100,000. That's all in. That's
The only thing that isn't there is the vehicle allowance, $25,000 once every year. So there would be another 8,000. So let's just say the cost to run for one officer for 1 year is $110,000. And that will vary depending on the budget year. So every year you would have to go and see how many officers you had, how much money was put into it. Now you have to determine what use. And of course, the use can't be varied by what you want to pay. The use has to be a set figure. So are you going to use the officer half-time, three-quarter time, where? And that will determine the cost.
What are the duties that you guys are mostly looking to enforce? Like, what are you guys missing right now that you think that we need somebody to be here for this and that?
It's just
Just-
some of the calls I
yeah.
get is, dogs and four-wheelers and golf carts
Just
and
Ordinances.
just some paperwork to be done, have them out and about.
Yeah, the whole presence, the deterrent, but mainly with help with these calls because, it falls on Paul a lot and he can't really do anything about it, so just be nice to have somebody that's more
Some
professional, that is their job.
So that involves, the second part of this is the liability and the prioritization. So if the sheriff's department is up in Binford working on whatever they might be working on, something that involves a state or federal
Yeah.
law, and they get a call from Cooperstown because there's a dog at large, or vice versa, how do you then decide, do you drop one and go to the other, or do you ignore one and stay on what you're doing? How do you prioritize what needs to be done?
well,
Well-
that's pretty. Well, go ahead.
Yeah.
That's pretty simple. John.
Yeah.
I mean, state and federal will always take
Yeah,
precedence.
that's-
Well, no,
over.
but all this has to be put out in some kind of contract
Oh,
so that we know.
absolutely. I mean,
I'm not trying to,
Major cities deal with this all the time. You go with the stuff that's more important, the other stuff gets pushed aside until, but at some time it's went back to and it's dealt with,
Right.
so,
but most of the time we're dealing with a full-time officer that's from the county assigned to the city or from the county assigned to the
Yes.
school, so that then the duties are pretty well defined. Now we have duties that aren't defined because it encompasses everything. And so we have to somehow define that. The other thing is, what are the expectations as far as if we're able to meet, our staffing demands in the county aren't met right now.
yeah.
How do we deal with that
Is
then?
there currently actively pursuing another, individual for the department?
I am, and I do have a couple potential candidates. It's just, it's expected start date of January 1st. So.
Yep,
Okay, so that's an issue. Then how do you deal with if an officer quits? Then what services are the first to be curtailed in that prioritization order?
yeah.
So all this can be done, but it needs to be defined so that we don't, 6 months down the road, everybody's saying, well, you were gonna do this, but you didn't do that, then here's why, and.
Right, I get it.
I think when we got started too last year with Bob too,
And so-
told me was that the resource officer was gonna be kinda involved in this and then we were gonna
Yeah.
pay part of that.
Yes.
Right, okay.
30,000
And I don't know
is
where
what
the
I
school's
understood,
at
correct?
with wanting that anymore. Do they
No.
scrap it or?
No, they still want it.
They still want
It's just, it hasn't been, waited till Bob left and then to get comfortable to start working on that, so.
Yeah.
Yep. So still very much in the works.
Yeah.
Okay,
So that's kinda where we got started on this.
kind of
Yeah.
like that one person maybe
Yeah.
can do dual
Both,
school and part city,
Right.
kind of do
'Cause
that for that.
I don't
Oh, okay.
anticipating the city being so busy
No.
with this, but it's just nice to have that, availability of somebody to, help with these things.
Mhm.
But it isn't gonna be like a daily thing, or,
Right.
it's just,
But it can't be on demand as far as money goes. It
I
has to be a
understand
set.
that, I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's just to your point that, what if they're somewhere else and whatever, these are ordinances, they're just nuisances.
Mhm.
And, it's just having somebody to respond to that in some kind of a manner. It doesn't have to be an immediate thing. It's just so that we have something in place that looks like we are doing what we're supposed to be doing, which is providing somebody to enforce ordinances.
And that's why we have to have this all in writing, because don't ever assume that common sense rules when you're dealing with the public.
I think it first
It
came with it,
never
we had a
does.
contract once, and then Jamie had
Yeah.
to change a few words in it in one paragraph, and that never came back to us. But isn't that, Jamie?
No, but the
No.
contract didn't address any of the issues we're talking about. No, it didn't address
No,
price.
Bob and I were supposed to go through the contract together.
Yeah, it just never.
Okay.
We're starting from scratch. So
Okay.
Okay.
the first thing is the price part of it. I think in that old, if you want to refer back to that old contract, I think it spelled out 700 and some hours.
I've got it,
Yeah,
700 and, I'll blow it up here. 775 cents annually, $30,000 a year was the price in the contract.
700 what, 70 hours?
775.
775. Okay, so that is of a full-time job of 40 hours times 52 and divide it by the 775, it'll give you the percentage of a full-time job.
And so a couple of the terms, the county would provide the city a monthly report. The county would provide the city patrolling and other police services. However, deputy or special deputy covering the city would be able to respond to calls for emergencies, accidents, or serve papers as directed by the sheriff. Patrolling hours would be in the sheriff's discretion, with $775 annually, which would be at various times of the day and night, as closely as possible, as discussed.
So you actually have in there that they will respond to, prioritize the emergencies first, then move on to this. So that actually kind of isn't in that contract. Okay. What other word did I hear? And the sheriff has full control, that deputies, would be
Yep.
at that sheriff's discretion.
Yep.
Okay. I wonder if it would be a good deal if we could, I know the school wants to have that person, if that one person would be willing, combine the two positions being school and city.
Yes.
I mean, that's a thought to mill over. Have it be kind of a dual person, and that's what that person does. And Mike, got any thoughts?
Yeah, so I've got a few thoughts. So I really like John's idea of that breakdown. I mean, if that's something the city would ever be interested in, I think that would give us the ability to hire another position. I have dedicated to the county and dedicate more time and more resources to the city. And it would help us out, making us a more desirable location to, people right now, they see, oh, you're a 3-man department, why do I want to work there? Like, I'm going to be working all the time. So we could potentially hire a 4th person. I mean, that would make that situation a little better, make us a little more desirable, and hopefully get more applications. So I really like that idea.
37%, 37.5% is a 775 hours. So it's not a full-time person. It's part of the third person, more than likely.
Yeah, like broke it down, it's like 14 hours a week or something like that is what
Yeah.
it is.
So if it's part of the third person, it's the cost to that, the 37.5%, $110,000 is $41,250 a year. This budget cycle, that would vary depending on budget cycle.
Right. I spoke to a few other counties around us, and kind of the general consensus I learned is they go off of the last census population, and they break it down to either $3 or $5 per person per month. So just doing the quick math on that, I saw a couple different numbers for Cooperstown, so I'm not sure which one to go off of, but it would be, at $3 per person, that'd be 30,000 or 36,000, roughly in that range. So I mean, the number's pretty close. Just at minimum to be able to enforce those city ordinances, like the go-karts, the golf carts, the dogs at large. Those are all calls that we've responded to in the last 4 months. And I can say at least 3 or 4 dog calls just in the last couple of weeks we've responded to. And what do? There's no state ordinance for a dog at large or a barking dog. So, all we are left with is, don't do it again. And it'd be nice to have some level of enforcement to be able to take to hopefully, stop that issue if it is a continuing issue. From what I've learned, there's a few individuals in town that it is an issue ongoing. I mean, it's every town. So it'd just be nice to be able to take that level of enforcement, and at a minimum, it's compensation for something we're already doing, and it's giving us that next step. So.
Yep. So the per citizen fee doesn't really make a lot of sense because we base everything on what our cost is. So the county is providing a service here. They need to be paid for the whole cost of the service. Otherwise, you're having additional county residents or all county residents fund what's going on in Cooperstown. So we need to define it so that whatever.
Wait a minute. So if we're talking about a part-time person at that rate, if we say 40 to 50,000, that comes back to your number, correct?
250.
So we use 41. So we use 45,000. So we use 50,000.
No, I'm not arguing against it. I'm giving you a rationale.
But at $5 a person, there's 1,000.
He said people. 3. He said 3.
3 to 5. He said.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah,
let's.
The number I got doing it our way was 41,250.
So here's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Is say, hey, look, eventually this thing's going to cost the city of Cooperstown $50,000.
That's what we're here for.
So, are we ready? Are we ready to sit down? Or is there other ways that we can work together? Because ultimately, correct me if I'm wrong here, group, but ultimately what we're looking for here is a way that the sheriff's department can work with the city of Cooperstown, and even if it becomes that, hey, look, we pay you $500 to do a dog call. I don't know what that. I'm just. We're compensating that time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think we could come to some agreement, correct?
I feel that way.
Of what we're doing.
But not on demand. It's got to be, here's the cost.
Yeah. We're not saying, we're just saying, because a lot of times it really comes down to nuisance ordinances.
I understand.
Which technically there is a state law that covers nuisance ordinances. I dug it up.
So what do we need to have in our current contract that will make this? Have you read the contract that they initially started with, Mike?
Yes, I've seen
it. And we've read that. We've all read it. We don't have it in front of us right now, but we've all read it. What per tail needs to be in that to satisfy everybody's?
Well, that's what we're doing.
To move forward.
That's what we're doing right here now. We just arrived at a cost. So we're going to arrive at the cost. We're going to arrive then at the expectations. We're going to arrive at the duties, and then we're going to arrive at additional costs.
Great.
That might be incurred.
Okay.
So that we know, everybody knows when they leave here what happened, and more importantly, the public has to have a time to look at this and see whether or not this is what they want done.
Right.
And in order for the public to look at it, there needs to be something set out so we can say, here's what we've proposed. Are you in favor of it? Otherwise, you end up in the same position as we did with these streets, where all of a sudden everybody's mad because of what happened. They didn't know what was going on. And I'm not going to I don't want to be a part of that. So the dog thing came up. That is another thorny issue. What do you do with the dog if you have to take one into custody, because we have no facilities for that? And
bring him to the vet, wouldn't you, if you would have to take him in?
That's what we've had to do.
If
There's an agreement the city has with the vet.
and they accept the responsibility for because the dog, of course, then is listed as a piece of personal property, and if the dog dies or is injured,
I think that's been for years.
it's
Yeah.
and they have the vet clinic, so you have something in place with them. Okay, because that'll have to be part of this. That'll have to be part of this agreement also, because of course the county can't assume responsibility for something that they don't have any way of taken care of.
That's stated in one of our ordinances.
Just quickly too, I'm familiar with that nuisance ordinance, and we dealt with that a few times within the last year in Wells County, in the city of Fessenden. And the big issue we were having is for that to be deemed a nuisance. And Jamie, I'm sure, can elaborate a little more better than I can, but you have to have multiple cases and some historical data on that to be deemed a nuisance. And that's the hurdle we had.
It's very vague.
Right.
It is, and so I have charged it before. I've charged in both counties, but it's an A misdemeanor. I guess I'm not going to charge an A misdemeanor for someone's dog getting out.
It's not so much dogs getting out. It's the barking.
Barking.
It's the nuisance.
An A misdemeanor is a pretty severe penalty for someone's dog to be barking. That's at least a $350.
Have you heard some of these dogs? I'm serious.
Well,
I mean, an A misdemeanor probably isn't the worst thing in the world, but that's beyond the point.
But typically, what a city does for a nuisance dog, it's a $50 citation or $100 citation. I mean, an A misdemeanor sticks with someone for a long time, and I'm not gonna. I guess my preference is not to charge someone with having a barking dog. That's an A misdemeanor, but you do have to have some history. It has to be documented. I've charged them where it's taken a year to charge them. The dog's been older, the dog's bit someone. Typically what I do is if the dog has bit someone, I think I've done it in Griggs County a couple times, where if the dog has bit someone or attacked a herd of like sheep, for instance, is one I've done. But an A misdemeanor for a barking dog, that's a pretty severe citation.
So John, the other thing, I talked with Jamie a little bit this last year. So how about with the court deal with the tickets? How was that, Jamie? Did we had?
So we've got an agreement, and I think it's a 60-40 split between. I think the agreement was signed after 2013. So we enforce the ordinances, and I prosecute them. And the state gets 40% or 60%, and the county gets the other split of it. As far as the money part of it, I don't think the money part of it's a big deal, because most of the city citations are $25 or $50 or $100.
I guess my feel is just so we're able to process what.
Yeah, those can be prosecuted.
So that's all set up then.
But that also we also have to achieve a cost of that, because what was the state's attorney's time in order to do that? So that would be one where it would be on a per case basis. How much time was billed in order to take that to court or to its finalization?
What more added expense is it to the county for Jamie to bring that to court?
Well, because the citizens of Griggs County are paying Jamie's salary.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
To take care of issues within Griggs County.
Yep.
Now Jamie's time is being taken up on an issue that's outside of Griggs County's, and Griggs County's paying for it.
No, yeah, but we're still citizens of Griggs County.
No, but this Jamie and the sheriff are charged with laws pertaining to state of North Dakota and the federal. City ordinances are outside of that, and they are the city ordinances, local ordinances are that of the municipality, the township, or even the county that imposes them. So it's their cost in order to enforce them. Is that correct, Jamie?
Yeah, it's still going to be the cost of, the cost of the state's attorney and the cost of staff.
So, with years ago, when the city had its own person, did the city pay the county additional for when people had to go to court?
No.
I mean, had it before?
They had a judge and a state's attorney and a sheriff and a city cop and everything. They were completely independent. That's what I'm talking about. It was all done. All this took place because of staffing issues. You could no longer get anybody to come to Cooperstown to work as a
Yes,
city
okay,
cop.
that's great. So how about then, what do you anticipate, like the cost of Jamie doing this?
That would.
So how do you figure that out?
Well, Jamie would have to figure that out.
I guess the best thing would be to figure out the county's hourly rate for myself and for
Yeah.
Annie and just bill that time accordingly.
Yeah, same way we just did this.
I mean, I,
But is it additional hours that they're already working? I mean, I'm kind of confused because it's not that they're going into overtime by doing this when, unless Annie went into overtime to do her job, you know, because she can't complete her task, so she's going to overtime to complete her task because she's doing city tasks.
but
Would
it's,
it be?
but it's still a cost that's
But-
attributed. We still are getting paid regardless
Yeah.
of if we're doing county work
Right.
or city work. So if
Right.
we're doing city work, the county should be reimbursed for doing the city work.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just
Okay.
just like if I was working
So
at a
I
law
guess-
firm and we had 50 different clients, I
Yeah.
bill
Yeah.
I get it.
each of those clients.
Okay. Okay.
We need to know what that would be.
Right, that's what we're here for. We're not here to try to throw cold water in any of this. We're here to try to get all the thing together so we can put a contract together, everybody can read it and say, yep, that might work.
And so are we.
And if it looks like we're trying to throw cold water, and it isn't, but we don't want to have to address all these issues after the fact.
Correct.
Yeah, I think this is just the start to
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
things started.
And as he said, we're probably not even looking at another officer until the first of the year. So this will go through your budget cycle, it'll go through our budget cycle, it'll go through a whole bunch of fine tuning.
Yep.
It'll go through the public scrutinizing it and giving input on whether they even want this done or not at this cost. There's a bunch of things that have to take place here, should take place here, are gonna take place here, that we tried to do last year, but for some reason, none of your fault, none of our fault, it never got done.
So are you thinking the school, like the resource officer is gonna be on their own then? I mean, you aren't gonna,
And I think it's gonna be, I'm not opposed to it, having it shared, I think it's gonna be tough. You know, how do we, it's kind of the same argument, how do we dedicate, you know, X amount of time to the school, how do we dedicate X amount of time to the city? And it'd be kind of tough to, you know, take that resource officer out of the school to go and deal with, you know, city ordinance or whatever else, so.
And I think the contract we signed didn't mention any sharing of that resource officer with the
Yeah,
city.
the
They were
original
totally
contract
separate.
I saw.
Totally separate contract.
Didn't mention it.
What was talked about in the past can only be used for reference here. We're starting all over and we're gonna get
Yeah.
this the way it was supposed to be in the first place. And in all honesty, if the city needed a full-time officer, you'd be more in control. It would probably be cheaper in order to go hire your own, but you don't. And that's why we're in this position.
Well, I don't think they can legally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sure they can.
We
We
can
can
hire
hire our own
Yeah,
Well,
you have to go through a process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you had to do it through the county itself, though.
Oh, no,
No.
this, I mean, the city of Binford, city of Hannaford, city of Cooperstown, they could all have, they're incorporated cities, they could all have their own law enforcement.
Yeah.
Well, I know the city used to have one, but I didn't know if it was through the county itself, where we provide the officer and you paid us type of deal.
No, they were completely independent, they had their own judge,
Okay.
Yeah.
Dallas Larson's the
That's
judge.
why I mentioned it, and if you guys are gonna hire your own, you know, try and hire 1 or 2 officers, what kind of application for it are you gonna have to keep or something to fill?
and it's not like we have many of them a day, every day. It's just the times that we need it or some paperwork served that, you know, just few things. It's not.
No, we understand that, but it's kinda like the fire engine in the station. It doesn't get used, but it still has to be paid for and staffed and on a daily basis. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So,
So can you formally come up with some numbers that we can look at?
well, yeah, this is just,
That relate
this
to
is
this?
just tentative.
And with Jamie's cost, what his cost would be,
And I think
Yeah,
that
that-
just needs to be an hourly.
Yeah, that can be.
whatever that
can
is,
be
hourly.
quick.
Jamie can figure out right now what his hourly cost to do his job is, and that can get,
Okay.
yep, and we have the budget. We don't have any budget for this year yet, but I suppose we better. I suppose we better use 2024's budget, being this is when it's gonna take place. So, we can come close.
And we did put figures in our 24 budget.
You know, so just doing it this way, the real generic, the 110,000 at 37% is 41,250. Jamie's cost on top of that would be on a all cart basis, so whatever, it could vary from year to year, from month to month.
So 41,000.
That's, yeah, it's so somewhere between, it's gonna be somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000 when it all shakes out. There has to be some input from the sheriff to determine what, you know, the previous sheriff said we were fully staffed to cover one of these items, this budget, add three deputies. That's why we had the 3 deputies, that's where we're gonna buy the car, that's where it was, so 3 deputies, so that means that Cooperstown or Griggs County was getting by with 2.62 deputies. Sheriff and deputies, and the balance was going to the city. That was the percentage that the last budget was paid, was based on, although it didn't follow through. We never got it done. Yeah, and then it would just have to be adjusted at budget time on a yearly basis, whatever the
cost per officer every year,
would be, yeah,
and then we would adjust it and then let them know, and then
or vice versa.
probably have to resign a contract every year to be safe. That way it's
Review it every year?
understanding on the laws.
Yeah.
What?
Review the contract annually?
Yeah.
Okay, yep, I like that idea.
Just another idea, because again, we did this in Willis County with the city of Fessenden, because they were a one-man police department when I first started there, and then ultimately we did a contract with them. And what the city and the county agreed on there, just like I said, for another idea, is the city paid for the entire salary for that extra deputy, and then the county picked up the rest of the expenses, you know, the insurance, uniforms, equipment, that kind of stuff. So
Do they have
another
a
option.
Do they have a contract in Fessenden?
Yes.
I wonder if we could
Yeah, I can try and
get that and kind of do a comparison and scope out what we like, what they like, kind of thing.
We've got about 10 contracts.
We've got all kinds of them.
That-
This needs to be tailored to this
So
specific.
Okay.
The problem with this was I had school resource officer contracts. I
Yeah.
had like 10 of them.
Yeah.
From and from school resource officers. I requested to work with Bob for like 4 months, and
Yep.
he never spent the time to work with me on it. So yeah, I was willing and ready to work on it. So it just never happened. So I did the legwork, and Mike did some legwork already too, and has found a bunch of contracts. So it's not as if we weren't willing to do it and weren't able to do it last year. It fell apart. And Mike and I have looked at contracts, and we've kind of adopted a couple of contracts to present to everybody for both the school resource officer and the city. So it's kind of really ready,
Right.
other than figuring out our costs, I suppose.
Well, yeah, the cost, it needs to be, there can't be a shared cost. It's the services that we're gonna provide to them have a specific cost, and then we can use the other part of the resource, of the officer to cover what our obligation to the citizens of Griggs County. Is kind of how that has, and that's, like I said, it's so easy to do. Here's our department, here's the number of officers, divided by the number of officers, and there's the cost. That covers everything. What else you guys need to know? We'll need to incorporate the vet clinic, or the contract with the vet clinic, so that the liability for any of the animals is taken off the county and the city.
You know, like, especially like jailing costs, like if, let's say he's got to arrest somebody, or domestic violence or something like that, is that can be a cost?
I think that was spelled out in, I think we got the language for that.
Do we?
I think something dealing with priorities is what
Because
we
it's
need
just
to
nice to have everything in writing, just to make sure.
prioritize it.
Yeah.
Jamie, you got an idea on how to do this?
What'd you say? You looked at like 10 different ones, so you got an
Well, yeah,
idea.
I emailed every state's attorney and every sheriff last year, and they just came in, and so I have a pile of them, and
Yeah.
we've kind of made a hybrid out of them.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that, Jamie. So next meeting, have a rough draft, or what are our thoughts with pricing in it?
Well, I mean,
And then
yeah,
modify it, and then we can kind of keep modifying from there? Does that sound like a game plan?
I think we just need at some point, tentatively we're gonna go ahead with this because this is dependent both on their budget and our budget.
Right,
And
Right.
the timeline of the first of the year anyway.
right.
I think the costs are the most important thing to figure out first,
Okay.
and the contract, it is
Yeah,
what it is.
It is what it is.
Okay,
And again, the reason that we have to define the cost is because right now we have to assume that every cost associated with law enforcement is being paid by every citizen in Griggs County, and they're all entitled to the same service. If any of those costs that are being paid right now bleed over into Hannaford or Binford or Cooperstown for law enforcement, then by definition, citizens are paying for a cost of a service they're not receiving. If those services from the sheriff's department are shared with Cooperstown without Cooperstown paying the full cost for it, that means somebody living in Jesse, North Dakota is paying for policing in Cooperstown. So that's why it has to be defined. We have to make sure that the citizens know exactly who's
Can I ask-
getting and what they're paying for.
Can I ask a definition of you? What are we calling policing?
No, policing is what we're doing right now. You're calling for additional policing, which is enforcing your ordinances, and it can't be on an a la carte basis. It has to be, what do you think are you gonna need, and here's the cost to it.
you want to define the ordinances, you want them to,
No, they can define them.
yeah, that's what I mean, you want them
They
to
can,
define.
we don't need that.
Okay,
And why I'm asking, sometimes I think we get a little bit of a gray area here. People are like, well, wait a minute. We don't get policing from the deputy, but let's say we have a domestic violence situation.
That's already covered.
Okay, that's what I'm getting at, because I hear it from people who don't know everything.
right.
They'll say, well, the deputy won't come and take care of that. That's in Cooperstown. They don't have to enforce this law or that law. I said, no. I said, it's a state law, it's a county ordinance or county law.
Yep.
That has to be enforced by sheriff. I don't care where you're at. That's, now, we're talking about, just so we're all on the same page, we're talking about enforcing dog barking ordinances, helping serve papers on people for, this is what we're talking about, correct?
We're talking about additional services that the
Yep.
city of Cooperstown wants in the form of enforcing ordinances. And
Yep.
everything else is already taken care of.
Yep.
If there's a state law or federal law, if you break it, the sheriff is obligated to go enforce it, no matter where it happened.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that reconfirmation.
And that message has, as far as I know, has never been given to the citizens of Cooperstown.
I know, but for some reason, you know how many times I hear that? I hear that a lot. People say, well, if we break the law, we don't have to worry about it because the sheriff can't do anything in Cooperstown because you don't have, I'm like, no, that's wrong.
Well,
I heard
If
the
they're
same thing
speeding,
when I
if-
started here in December.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that we can't enforce traffic violations in Cooperstown.
Traffic.
well,
So,
Oh, they don't know.
all right, I think we've got what we need. I think we've wasted enough of your time on this for right now, so
Thank you.
we'll move on and
I
Go
feel
from there.
confident on this. Yes.
So are you guys going to share something with us then?
We'll wait for information
Jamie?
yeah.
from price from you guys, what you come up with.
Would you
correct?
come up with a price? You give us a
Well,
price?
we'll have to get with the sheriff and determine
Yep.
where we think the budget's gonna be. We haven't done the budget, of course, yet, so
Yep.
this is gonna be throughout the budget negotiations to finally get a firm number on this.
That's fine.
I would caution one thing here. This appears like we're sitting down and determining what the people of Griggs County and the people of Cooperstown want. I really, that's a dangerous thing to have happen. I think we need to reach out to the citizens and make sure they're in agreement with what's going on here. Not just some of them, but because this is a democratic republic and they make the rules, not us. We just put them forward.
John, can I stop you? We get a lot from people.
I know you do.
We need help enforcing the ordinances.
I didn't say,
So-
I said we should publicize it so that
Oh,
everybody can
absolutely.
have their say in it.
so
Absolutely.
John, do you think the city of Fargo?
We're not the city of Fargo.
I don't, we are citizens
I gotta
though.
go
We're not the city of
It doesn't matter
Fargo.
if you're a Cooperstown or you're a Binford or you're a whatever.
We
I
don't
mean,
do things behind the citizens' back.
Oh,
We
that's
do it
not-
out in the public, in the
Ex-
sunshine, so everybody can weigh in on it. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you for your time, guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Mhm. Yes.
Make it. See ya.
Hey, one of you guys got your radio?
Oh, you don't wanna keep that for me? Thank you.
Oh, two-way.
Thank you, Paul.
Yep, see you guys.
So, anything else on the policing contract?
So basically, it's up to Mike to come up with his
No.
costs.
So
and what-
when should we just put it on the agenda for next time then too? Just to talk
I
about it?
think it's gonna be on the agenda
That's
for a
what
few
I'm
times.
saying. Alright. No Fair Board people?
No Fair Board people. So,
I sent it to her, so.
what they wanted, just from the phone call to me,
Yeah.
was they wanted to have legal ownership of the property down there because they were planning some project.
Yes, true, like,
And I don't know if it involved borrowing money or what it involved, but they needed to have legal ownership and so they were gonna come here because there's other entities involved down there that might also need ownership.
we have like, let's say, we're like, Grace County Historical Society.
Yeah, so-
We have property in there too, see?
So to blanket, to send all the property to the Fair Board, then might put the Historical Society, so there needs to, it can all be done, that's not the
Yeah,
problem,
no.
but someone needs to sit down and determine what needs to be done. And that was the start of it, that's why they were gonna come to the meeting.
Do they wanna actually buy some?
I don't know anything
either.
more than
Something about
that.
buying some property, I wouldn't quite get the whole gist.
I don't know anything more than that. All it was ownership.
Yeah.
And I just had them put it on an agenda and they were gonna come and explain it. I don't know any more than that.
Based on the research I've done, I think the county can just sell the park, or the Fair Board, that land for $1.
No,
It's a county entity.
you can, but the question remains is, there's other entities that have
Yeah, it's a
an
historical
interest in
society
that.
and the Fair Board.
Fair Board.
And I don't know if they're competing over the land or if they have a mutual interest.
I
or
don't know.
And no, but we just need to know so that we can act accordingly.
Yeah, what lots they
Yeah.
want or whatever.
That's what they're supposed to be on there, where they're on the agenda.
Yeah. And it was discussed at one time,
It was, that's right, it was, yeah.
a number of years ago,
Yeah.
and it's same thing, it stalled out. They never got around to
Yeah.
what,
Well, who got what or what property?
and there was never it was never surveyed, and
No.
so it just stalled, because Cooperstown owns it, or excuse me.
We own it.
Yeah.
County.
Where
County
does the
owns
county
it.
own, all of the fairgrounds, all the way out to the highway?
I
Or
don't
we don't
know
know?
for sure.
Oh, okay. Just we get
It's-
to look at a plot or
It's
whatever.
actually, yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen it, it's kind of a.
Cause they're basically trying to buy the part that the rink is on, or what?
I don't know.
We think
I
that's what it is, we're
don't
not
know
sure.
anything more than,
Cause that's,
So-
I think that's all part of like museum property.
no,
We
I
have, we have to, we need to get them here.
I have no idea.
We need to
Okay.
get.
That was all it was.
Well, it's
Okay.
doable.
Also, we don't, I mean, they're probably looking to get this done as soon as possible. Maybe we should just call them and see if they can still come down here.
I just messaged her.
Who we talking to?
I was talking to Lexi,
Oh, Lexi, yeah.
because she's the one that called me to ask if they could be on the agenda for.
That's who called me, I believe.
Yep, I had her call you.
Old courthouse, new courthouse. Check. Water Resource Board, no?
Tom was gonna be here at 10:30 to talk about that, but I can just get started.
Oh, wait, did you get Lexi?
I texted her.
Okay, that's good.
And I haven't heard anything back
Okay.
yet. So with the water board district assessment, I am also the water board bookkeeper. So I am talking as that. There is the Cooper Tyrol drain, and it had two pieces. It had the Rickford Slough and the Alvik Slough. And when it was all on one spreadsheet, but there was two little tabs on the bottom. When we went, there's some work that needs to be done, so we were kind of looking at that, and we discovered that we are not getting any maintenance money for the Alvik part of it. We went back to the meeting minutes, we went back to the recording, and in there it does, the board does state to put the assessment on the Cooper Tyrol drain. Didn't say which one, so we're just saying that that's lumping all of them together. The Ulvik part was missed in 2020 and 2021. And then when I took over as the bookkeeper, I continued to do what Connie did and just used the one. So now we are here. It has been missed for a few years. So we do need to go back and recoup those, that assessment for those years, those missed years. So in your packet, there is the century code of the process that we do have to take to do that. We have to bring it to your guys' attention to let you guys know that this is happening. A letter will be sent out to these property owners explaining what happened, telling them how much they owe. There's Tom. And then the landowner does have 15 days to come back and dispute it, and then those disputes would then come to you guys. So just kind of letting you know that whole process. So.
So just to kind of fill in the history of, these are legal drains, these were voted on.
Yeah.
And they don't have a drain board per se, the water board is the, is the board for both those drains. Is that correct, Tom? Yeah. So they then have the levy authority. Is the drain, the water board, because they are the board for the levy, you know, when you put together a legal drain, it has to have a board.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a completely different set of people than the water board, but in Greggs County's case, it's always been the water board, it's been the board.
So in 20, we had a meeting and we put maintenance on TB04 and we put maintenance on CT2. And within the Cooper Tyrol spreadsheet, there's another tab.
Yeah.
And just clerical error, missed that tab.
Yeah.
So it was missed in 20 and 21. And then Sam come on board and did what was done in 20 and 21 and 22 and 23. So the drain was short of funds in 22, so we put $3 maintenance on 2/3 of the drain because 1/3 wasn't paying, didn't know they weren't paying. So now to make it right, there's some culverts that need to be replaced, and in finding this error, it'll help do that.
So,
you know,
does it have the same number? Is the drain number the same, or was it added on to?
it was. So it's CT, it doesn't even, I would have to go back and read, but the first drain they called CT2A.
Right.
And then they come back with CT2 lateral number 4.
Okay.
So
That should be levied, those shouldn't be levied together, though. They should be levied, they're separate, they were separately voted on issues.
yeah, but they all had $2 maintenance. It's just
Okay.
that the CT, Cooper Tyrol was on one tab and the second part was on another tab.
So, which one involves the city of Cooperstown, or both of them?
None of them.
None of
This
them?
is,
That's farther to
Oh,
the north and the
yeah.
west,
Yeah.
okay.
it comes out of Lake 5 through the Rickford
Yep,
Slough.
yep.
What?
So did the city of Cooperstown, did they ever get that resolved where their involvement was mandatory rather than?
No, so
rather than just,
so the city of Cooper, we had an agreement with them.
yeah,
So at the time, Chris and Steve Perry from the council were working with Peterson and working with Tammy Norgard. There again, this drain really, they want to have control, but we have to oversee. And I said, within the agreement, we only need 2 rules. We want GIS equipment used, full autos or just stay out of the ditches, and respect the landowners. That's all you really need. But
they redacted and redlined and changed ifs to buts and Is and dotted the Ts. And anyway, they run up a bill for our water board for $43.60. So we've submitted them a bill. It's just sad that
So-
attorneys and emails and texts, I finally told Tammy, I said, quit, no more.
Yeah, so, but they've never been assessed a levy, correct?
No, they don't have a levy set up on their drain.
So they, at any time, they could just refuse to pay.
They could
It would-
refuse to pay, but the drain, the drain is 20 years old and it still hasn't, they haven't
Maintained it.
leveled the, they maintained it, but they haven't leveled the spoils, they haven't did anything. You know, anytime you cross somebody's land, it's a privilege and you should take care of the spoils, and it hasn't been done on a lot of the drain.
No,
It's
no,
just-
what I'm saying is part of that drain is part of that drain was an actual voted on levied drain.
It never was voted on as a levy drain.
None of that was.
No.
So how are the landowners that are participating, how are they, are
It's just the city of Cooper.
just that short chunk of it? So the upstream landowners are levied that dump into it,
No,
no?
no.
So
There's
how
no
does the
levy.
water, how does the water from the Rickford and,
That's Cooper Tyrol.
right, but that comes through that drain,
No, not through the Cooper drain.
no?
No, that ends up going, it's out, it goes on to Danny Heinz's and
Yep.
then through Hedstrom's. That has nothing to do with,
So the Cooper drain doesn't go all the way down to, through Knutson's and down
yeah,
to, it
the Cooper
does?
drain does,
Okay, so that water eventually ends up together then?
in the river.
Yeah.
Comes
So-
across on Feebigers there?
No, the Cooper Tyrol starts at Lake 5 through Rickford's, goes across the Sutton Slough, a
Yep,
little more of Elwoods, then it goes through Danny Hines of the old half section, and then Vigasaw quarter, and then Vigasaw's another quarter,
Yep.
and then Jerome crosses the Highway 45 and it heads north through Hedstrom's, across 45
Across-
and 65.
yeah, right on the north side of Bob Hedstrom's there, yeah. So all the water then for the drain that comes around Cooperstown,
Goes through the
Right.
lagoon. Yep.
so none of that is on, not even in the landowners, none of the landowners are levied on that?
Not in the Cooperstown drain.
That was all voluntary.
It was all the city of Cooper.
How far north does that drain go?
Just around town and comes back to Wrighton's. So it's just a loop, pretty much drains Cooperstown.
Okay. And that's the sole responsibility financially of Cooperstown?
When they started the drain, there was two different times. Artie and I put $1,500 in once and $1,000 in once just to help through the lagoon ditch.
Yeah,
They couldn't spend the money we donated on that.
yeah.
I don't know what they used the money for.
Yeah.
But we had to collect a fund drive and we probably got 15,000.
Okay.
But they couldn't use it on the drain.
Yeah, so, yeah, I was involved in that because the house they had in Cooperstown by the park was getting water in the basement and I paid to clean the drain going north there to run into the Cooperstown drain.
So 3-4 years ago, the city asked us to carry the spoils off,
Yeah,
re-slope the ditches so there was slope so they could mow them, and they set aside $10,000. And we got through from the Ball Diamond to Highway 45.
yeah.
And we did the drains behind the property in Cooper. There's a couple drains that run out. And they said, why couldn't you have gotten more done? I said, we moved all the dirt of the original dig. We moved all the dirt of the Nosted's dig, the clean out.
Yeah.
Then you want us to slope dirt that's never been moved. So you're talking $200,000 of dirt work, and you want us to do more than that for $10,000. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, that's why I was asking about if this was a levy drain or not, so that there was, because eventually there's gonna be some dispute with the water board, which is funded by the citizens of Griggs County and the city of Cooperstown, and why would the citizens of Griggs County be funding a project for Cooperstown? That's the point I'm trying to make, is there needs to be something set up so that everybody pays equally or according to the benefit.
So So right now, we're asking for the money they kind of wasted on, we haven't signed the agreement yet. And we're not gonna until they're arguing about things that just they don't even matter. You know, it's just,
So, I mean, the water board is a separate entity, obviously. But why is the water board assuming ownership, management of that drain when it obviously is total responsibility of the city?
so any legal drain, it's mandatory that the water board oversees them.
It's not
No,
a,
no,
it's not a
no.
legal drain. It's never been voted on. That was my point.
It is a legal drain, but, no,
Legal drain takes the vote of the participants, and that's never happened. That was my point. It was a gentleman's agreement when that all started.
Okay, I guess the only thing is, how much money are we talking, bottom line? How much do you,
No, this is ongoing.
it's ongoing, but how much money?
Don't know.
You don't know. How much?
everything has been paid, except, I asked Sam, I said, why are we getting bills from Tammy? Because we're not using her. We had nothing going on. And it was all, look back in the bills, and it's all visiting with Peterson, Chris, emails, phone calls, just ongoing.
And you've paid all of them bills, or you have not?
We pay our bills, but
Because it's like, that's not my bill, here, you take it.
but we didn't owe them. I mean,
Right.
when we got down to where the money, why we were wasting this money, it was the city that was causing the problem.
Oh,
See, now we're getting to my point in this.
Yeah.
You see, so if it's not a legal drain, if it doesn't benefit any other people but the city of Cooperstown, why in the world and the water board functions on taxpayer dollars, why is the water board even involved with this?
Right.
If the city of Cooperstown wants their water moved, they want their drain managed, they should do that or pay the water board to do that. There shouldn't be any expense from the water board in this thing.
right.
And there wouldn't
Does
be.
that make sense?
Yeah.
But there wouldn't be, but this is kind of a hidden, as the city is arguing with this agreement, I knew it was going on. I think I told Chris to knock it off. I mean, there are only two rules we need here. If we have to manage what you do, it's respect the landowner and use good equipment so you don't overdig ditches. So, other than that, what have you got?
And now that we realize that it's not
Not a legal drain.
a legal drain, now you can just kind
See,
of walk away and collect. I don't know, can you go back and collect from the city?
Well, we got a
issue?
bill with them, but
Okay.
We submitted a bill to
You're getting to
them.
my point
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
If it's not a legal drain, if it's not the water board's responsibility, why is the water board making it their
Because they-
liability?
Because you thought
And-
it was.
well, they call it legal drain number 2.
Well, how is it if,
No, I know.
I mean, this has been ongoing for 13 years. No one's ever produced that.
20 years.
No one's ever produced that documentation. But the point being, if it's totally benefits the city of Cooperstown, the city of Cooperstown should be paying the water board or the citizens of Griggs County in order to manage their drain. Otherwise, they manage it themselves.
Isn't that a different one though? Isn't this the one that we're talking about is Cooper Tyrol number?
No,
No.
two is up north, 3 is Cooperstown. Cooperstown, legal drain number 3.
Okay.
So there was KD1, was Carnick drain number
Yeah.
1.
Yep.
Then come along 2, and that was Cooper Tyrol. Then come along Cooper drain 3. They call it a legal drain number 3. And then TBO4 is a legal drain. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And CT2 has 2 parts because they added the Aldig part in.
And those are all legal, right?
That
should
is a
find
legal
out
drain.
which ones are all-
That is, and so KD1 is kind of dissolved and
Okay,
it turned into TBO4 because that is the outlet.
okay.
2 has always been there as a legal drain. 3, they call it a legal drain, but I don't know the voting process at all, how they put it together.
Well, so a legal drain, in my definition, involves the ability to levy against the land that the drain goes across. And the drain that we're talking about around Cooperstown here has no other landowners involved with it other than Cooperstown.
Right.
And Cooperstown isn't, if Cooperstown was a member of a drain that had landowners, they could be included in a levy based on amount of water, not amount of land. But in my understanding in this one, there's no other landowners. So the legal drain portion of it, if you put it in parentheses marks, what does that designate? The legal drain designates the ability to levy. That's why we do though. That's why the water board does them, because then you can raise the money, you can maintain it, and you can manage it. This doesn't have any of that. It might have been legal by, maybe Ducks Unlimited said they could do it, I don't know. But as far as a legal drain and for something for the water board to manage, there is nothing.
No. The management part on our part, according to Tammy, is you have to just tell them what they're doing is okay. Basically, if you don't agree with them, help them facilitate so they do the right thing. There's only two things that, if you don't use satellites to guide you, and if you can't respect the landowner, you shouldn't be there. Other than that, there isn't much to a drain. I mean.
But I don't think the water board has the ability to do that.
No, because it's not legal.
It's
Now that we established.
It's not, it's their drain. And unless they're paying you a fee, and it shouldn't be the other way around, they should be paying you a fee to manage their drain, not arguing with you whether or not the water board owes them money.
Yeah.
Well, we've been accused, they want this agreement put in place so we don't spend their money, and they in turn turned around and spent our money. But it took us a while to catch it, because we had things going on with TBO4 at the same time. So as those bills got paid, and then we still get a bill from Tammy, and when you look in the bill, there was a few that were mixed in with TBO4, but then it's sat in on a meeting for 2 hours. Well, the water board will cover that, but the extra hour, you're gonna cover it, because they were put in together. And I think we did about as fair, overly fair, I think, but.
Well, here's my question. Does the city have the ability to manage it? Will they manage it? If they don't have the ability, or they won't, then they're totally dependent on the water board to manage that drain. If they're totally dependent on the water board to manage it, then they better be paying the water board to manage their drain. We got reversed here somehow.
Well, the water board hasn't spent any money other than this legal battle, so.
But walk away from it. I mean, so, yeah, I mean, this has been an ongoing concern for years, and I don't.
It really seems, a lot of work to clean up TBO4, a lot of work to clean up CT2. The Cooper drain has always been a mess, and always be a mess.
But it's their mess.
Yeah.
It's not the citizens of Griggs County's mess.
The city of Cooperstown.
It's the citizens of Cooperstown.
Mess. I mean, it isn't a whole lot dissimilar to what we're just talking about here with the policing contract. You have to get things in place so you know who's responsible for what, because you can't be intermingling taxpayer dollars to do things for one entity that you're not doing for another.
If anything, you should offer them a contract. Hey, this is how much it'll cost for if you want us to make
Management fees.
Management fees. That's an idea. It would help them, because they're not sure. It would help them.
Well, so a legal drain has to have a board. It has to have a management board. That's the whole process of making a legal drain.
Can the city, since the city owns that drain, can the city make a board and make it a legal drain?
Well, I think we're
I'm not sure how that
confusing the
works.
definition of legal drain. Legal drain from what we've talked about out in the counties is the ability to get permission from the landowners in order to tax the property, in order to build and maintain the drain. That's the definition of a legal
I
drain.
think that ship has sailed, because there has to be petitioners, there has to be votes, and has to be an assessment area.
Yep.
And this is already in there.
So in order to that be a legal drain in Cooperstown, it would have had to been voted on by the taxpayers of Cooperstown.
They would have had to have done that. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's something that they might not need to work on for the future, I guess, but that's on them,
But we shouldn't have Griggs County taxpayer dollars subsidizing something that it should be subsidized by
Correct.
the city of Cooperstown.
correct. It's unfortunate that it was missed. You know what I mean?
Well, that wasn't missed. This has been an ongoing issue forever.
Yeah.
Those two other drains were missed. So,
So the one that
We-
you guys are talking about is the Cooper Drain 3. But the assessment that was missed is
two, that's right.
That's up north.
Yeah.
And then there has to be, so back to that, we as a board don't have any control over that. The
No.
water board is the manager and and they then assume the levy authority. So they're gonna have to put out an addendum to the previous year's taxes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I'm not sure that can be done.
I don't know, but
Well, is it 5714? You'd have to.
571401, but it falls on the county auditor to do it.
yeah. All I'm saying is this board doesn't have the ability to do it.
I think when you get.
No, you guys will just oversee if somebody has a complaint.
And there's 10 landowners.
Yeah.
And they all
There-
no
no-
benefit. So
and they-
this is a formality, I think, is what you said.
Yep.
And you better ask Jamie.
Yeah.
I read it also just briefly when I just found out about it this morning. I'm not so sure that it can be.
If it's outside the 3 years, I definitely don't think it can be done because that's outside of the taxation process.
So, okay, Kyle, so what is, those 10 landowners you talked about, who have a number 2 up here, what is their position on that for money to go toward it?
So-
Did you talk to them, what's the deal there?
So I've talked to a couple, Scott Saxberg said, well, that's fine, you know, the benefit is greater than the dollars. And Brandon Hines, farms for Van Raden, and also David Hines. Talked to David and Brandon to visit with the Van Raden. He's the largest and probably the most benefit also. So it's kind of, the benefit out there is tremendous, you know, to the, I don't foresee a problem at all.
So, so are they willing to help pay?
Oh, yeah.
They are.
Well, just catch it up.
Catch it up.
Yeah. But see, this was just brought to our attention,
Yeah.
just so we knew. We have zero
I'm gonna say that, well,
responsibility
you
in
know,
this
it's
thing.
it's
Yeah.
kind of an internal affair
Right.
for them up there, not,
Right.
you know,
Just
'cause-
we know.
okay.
Yeah, this is a levy issue
Okay.
with the entity that has levy authority, which is the board of the drain, which is the water board.
And which there is no legal drain.
So.
No, that
No,
one's
that's
legal.
different.
That's
Yeah.
what, but it's a maintenance fee. It isn't like taxes are missed. It's a maintenance. It's a clerical error on the maintenance
Maintenance
side.
and
It isn't a clerical error on the real estate tax.
tax.
Yeah. Which, we visited with Bennett for a few minutes the other day, and he went through, and I think he was gonna help you prepare a statement to
letter,
the
yep.
landowners, and just take care of it and be done with it and move on. And had I been around when the drain, you know, it's hard to come in and know nothing. I mean, I just,
Yeah, and we'd only be involved with a dispute if it couldn't be settled at the board level first. It's no different than any other dispute. We're the final, and then it would go to the state after that. So that's all we're brought in on this for. And
So 571401, I don't think covers this.
no, it doesn't. But anyway, that's between
okay.
the water board, the state's attorney, and the auditor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks,
you.
Tom.
Let's do it.
Future business?
The Fair Board got back to me and they were not wanting to be on this agenda, they are wanting to be on the next agenda.
Oh,
Okay,
good.
that's fine.
Perfect.
Can we get some kind of forewarning of what they want to do, some paperwork, so, I mean, so that we, it doesn't matter, it'll just delay it if we don't.
Just give us an idea of
Yeah.
what, if they're buying land and what land they wanna buy. type
And
deal.
I'll see if I get like someone like Mark or somebody from the historical society here too.
Yeah, you better have someone here.
Of course.
But why don't you guys just talk beforehand, so
Yeah.
when you come here, it's all, here's what we wanna do.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have it if they could give you
Know
all the
what's going
paperwork
on.
so you can email it to us prior, you know, that rather than the day before, that Friday before, in case there are questions and such, then we can
Yeah.
individually go
Okay.
back to Lex, you know, and
Right.
ask them.
Okay.
We can deed the land to them, we know that. We
Yep.
just want to make sure we deed it to the right people.
Yep,
Correct?
perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Have we missed anything here, as jumbled around as we got? Kind of hopscotch on the schedule, but. Well, it's getting to be that time where Tranby makes
Yeah,
his appearance.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Tranby to adjourn, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Avriel. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
All right.
Meeting adjourned, 11 o'clock, 11 a.m. Next meeting, this chamber, April 22nd at 9:30 a.m. Thank you all.
Thank you.